I've talked so much about narcissistic personality disorder, and some people have asked me, what is the general criteria for it? So let's go through some of the diagnostic material. I have my notes in front of me. So number 1, a grandiose sense of importance. This one is interesting. So the grandiose sense of importance, this one's kind of obvious. This isn't the same as being proud of your accomplishments or being excited to tell someone good news. This is a sense of trying to constantly impress you, trying to live in that state of wanting to be important because of your achievements, wanting to be recognized because of, oh, I won this award, I'm in this band, I did this thing, I wrote this book. It's more of that kind of air about them. Number 2, fantasies about having power, success, money, fame, unlimited women, unlimited men, unlimited material things, etc. This is different than daydreaming or having ambition or wanting to have nice things for yourself. When we're talking about this type of fantasy, it's talking about, I'll give you an example. There's this one that I met who he would grab me and say, I can hear the audience now. And they're going, and they're screaming for me and they're cheering for me and I'm gonna be like a god and I'll be able to, he used to say like crude terms, I'll be able to go on stage and just, I won't say what he said, and they'll all just scream for me and they'll all just cheer for me. It's like, it was very over the top. And it's like, dude, like what? Like they'll pursue things like music or the arts or things where they can get a lot of attention, but not because they love that thing or like that thing, but because they see it as, I'm gonna be a movie star and I'm gonna have unlimited women and they're gonna line up for me and I'll be able to do, like, it's way over the top. And you also see this in certain other disorders because a lot of times they're overlapping, but in bipolar and other ones. But yeah, for right now we're talking about narcissism. But yeah, they hold on to these ideas of being successful, being powerful, being put on a pedestal, and they feel entitled to it because they think that they're better and more deserving. This is not like a healthy person who knows that, you know, you're special, you have special gifts, you have special abilities, you have things that you do well. That's fine. That's perfectly healthy and normal. This is like, they don't want to put in any work. They don't want to put in any effort. They just naturally see it as, I'm here, so now this is mine. But it's in a way where they're not giving anything. They just want to take. Which leads me to number 3, a belief in superiority. With the belief in superiority, they see themselves as better than other people. They see themselves as more special and more deserving than other people, including their own partners, their own family, their own friends. For example, there's one male narcissist who had a big dream of, you know, being famous, having all these things, etc. And he looked down on his family and his friends because they went to school, because they went to college, because they got jobs. And some of them did have careers in the arts, but it maybe took them 20 years to build that career. And it was stable and it was over time and they built up. And he was envious of them and he saw himself as better because he kind of thought he was just going to show up and become an A-list musician. And so now 20 years goes by and his family members and friends, all the people that he looked down upon, they have houses, they built nice lives for themselves. And he is infuriated by that because he sees it as he was better than them. He should have this. He was better because they're weak, because they want to put in the work and he can just show up and get it. That's that grandiose delusion thing going on. But yeah, that's one example of describing that way of thinking. All right, it's not funny, but it is, because it's like when you meet these people and you see how hurtful they can be and you see how they think, it's like, dude, really, like, yes, yeah. Number 4, constant need for admiration. So I've noticed a lot of narcissistic males, this is maybe that's part of the reason why a lot of them cheat a lot. And I've noticed if you've dated a narcissistic male or woman, a narcissistic woman, a lot of times they go for a certain type. Like when they cheat, they'll go for, you know, strippers. A lot of them, they like petting. They like, oh my gosh, you're so cute. Oh my gosh, you're so, like, they really love that over the top attention. And they constantly need admiration, but when you're not giving it to them, they'll give it to themselves. We talked about this earlier. Well, they'll say things like, you know, I'm so good looking, I can get any woman that I want. And oh, 1,000 other men would want to be here in your place. And they'll like say all these different things to try to constantly get you to feed them. Like, thank you for allowing me to be with you. Number 5, entitlement. This is like the cornerstone of narcissism. This is one of the most obvious traits. Narcissists tend to think that they by default deserve more, should have more, should get more just because. Not because they're willing to work harder, not because they're willing to bring more things to the table, not because they're willing to grow, not because they're willing to adapt, none of those things, but just because they're them, because they are there. You see it time and time again in Hollywood where narcissistic men and women will expect that they're to be movie stars just because they're here. I can do that. They're the types of people that watch TV and say, like, or watch movies. I could do that. Like, and they expect just to be able to come in and just get it. They don't expect to have to go through a process. And when I say process, it might be taking headshots. It might be going to an acting school. It might be putting in the work, putting in the time. It might be that they don't get every part. Maybe they only get 1 out of 100 parts or 1 out of a dozen parts, but they still put in the work steadily. They don't see it like that. They see it as, I want it, it's mine, which also makes narcissists very easy to manipulate in certain cases. Again, they tend to fall for a lot of get rich quick schemes and stuff like that. With education, I dealt with that with a lot of narcissists where when I got my degrees, they were very envious and angry that I had more job prospects that required a degree, and they didn't think it was fair. And I'll give you examples. So let's say you're a person who is a mechanical engineer and you work for an airplane building company and you need to have that degree as a requirement so you can understand the charts and the graphs and et cetera, et cetera. And let's say when you start, you make $45, $50 an hour, but the narcissist who has no skill set can obtain those wages and you get the job and you're happy. You just got your first job out of college. It's good money. You're excited about it. And you tell this to the narcissist and they're upset. They're mad. They feel like, oh, well, I should be able to get one of those. Like, oh, how long does it take? And you're like, well, it takes 4 years. And plus you have to take all these tests and exams to be able to qualify to get in the schools. And they're mad. They're angry. They'll go online and start searching for those little certificates that you can buy. And like, okay, well, that should do it. I have that too. And it's like, what? You got that in 2 weeks. That's not even a real certificate. And they'll get angry at you. You tell them that's not a real degree. That's a certificate that you bought and it doesn't qualify you to do the work. Oh, but I know how to do that. It's the sense of entitlement that a lot of narcissists have. And again, they're prone to envy and jealousy, which we'll get to in a minute. But yeah, the sense of entitlement is like one of the key things you'll notice on a narcissist right off the bat. Number 6, willingness to exploit others. Yes, they don't care. They see people as instruments. They see people as tools. They see people as objects. And again, a lot of these disorders overlap. So if you get into sociopathy, they literally see people as playthings and stuff like that. They don't care. They have to step on somebody. They see that as that's what they're supposed to do. I'll give you a good example. So there was one narcissist that I met. He had been with a woman for several years. She gave him 8 years. She loved him and he came into some money because of some type of a Ponzi scheme type of a thing. Came into some quick cash and the first thing he does is leave her and dump her. And he felt he had the right to do this because he's like, I'm rich now. I can get any woman that I want. It ended up backfiring on him, but he went out and went with this one and this one and then, trying to get all these models. I was one of the people that he tried to target. And when he started telling me his history about the woman that he was with and how he treated her and he gave himself away. He ended up being a case study. I'm like, dude, I'm not going for that. Like, are you serious, dude? I don't like narcissistic men. I don't like how they treat women. I don't like narcissistic women and men, both. But yeah, so this guy thinks that, oh, now that I've got money, I can go out and he just dropped this lady. Didn't care. Devalued her, discarded her. This woman who had been there, who had been holding it down. And what ends up happening to him is he ends up getting exploited by a ton of different women. I was nice. I walked away. I was like, oh, okay, this guy's a narcissist. And so this guy was a narcissist, I could tell. So I got away from him on the first date. But from what I could tell later on, he had tons of women who were opportunists, probably narcissists themselves, who were just gold diggers, who were just taking all this money and, taking all of his money because he wanted, again, like what we just talked about, he wanted the attention. He wanted a girl that would charm him and tell him he was a handsome guy when he wasn't, and tell him that he's smart and funny when he wasn't. He wanted that type of attention, who would play along with his fantasy, etc. And he met women who exploited him. That can happen. That tends to happen too sometimes. All right. So But yeah, they take advantage of friendships, relationships, situations, and group settings in order to exploit other people, and will make no qualms about, will make no fuss about stepping on someone, stabbing someone in the back, and, in order to get what they want. All right, number 7, another key trait in a narcissist, lack of empathy. They don't have empathy. They don't care. We talked about that earlier. They don't care. So I can pretty much leave that at that. They traumatized, emotionally stunted, not in control of their own emotional state, can't regulate their emotions properly. You'll see moments of it if you're around a narcissist where you realize they really don't care about you at all. Again, they see people as instruments, as tools. They'll dispose of you. They don't care. And at higher levels, you get into psychopathy, etc. But we won't talk about that on this tape. Number 8, envy. They're very envious. They're very jealous. Again, back to the example of the mechanical engineer. If they see someone has worked hard and has, a moral job or a good moral character, and they built up and established for themselves, the narcissist is angered by that. They don't see what everybody else sees as far, oh, they worked hard, and they got stable, or, well, maybe they had some good luck, but they also did. The narcissist just sees it as they should have that by default. A lot of times narcissistic people live in fantasy lands. They just think that they show up, they get. That's one way of putting it. Yes, they're constantly envious. They're constantly jealous. Even with their romantic partners, they tend to be envious and jealous of the emotional stability of their romantic partner, or the ability of their romantic partner to be able to take care of themselves or not need them or have self-love, etc. All right, number 9, arrogance. Acting in a way that is snobbish, condescending. They're prideful. They're prideful. Narcissists are prideful. They're very arrogant, and they don't care. Oh yeah, I should be able to get that because I'm this. They don't care. On my tape, common things narcissists say, I'll link it at the end of this. They'll say things like, I should be able to get that award because I'm, I'll link in the tape, common things narcissists say. But yeah, they think that because of their looks, or because of their charm, or because of their money, or because of their status, or whatever, they should be able to just have something. They don't have to put in work for it. They should just be able to have it just because they're who they are. So I'll talk to you guys later. I hope you have a great rest of the day and hope this helps. Like and subscribe, and bye-bye.